Ladies and gentlemen, good day and welcome to the Q2 FY22 earnings conference call of VST Tillers Tractors Limited, hosted by Batlivala & Karani Securities India Private Limited. As a reminder, all participant lines will be in a listen-only mode, and there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions after the presentation concludes. Should you need assistance during the conference call, please signal an operator by pressing star then 0 on your touchtone phone. Please note that this conference is being recorded. I now hand the conference over to Mr. Annamalai Jayaraj from Batlivala & Karani Securities. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Thank you, Aman. Welcome to VST Tillers Tractors Limited Q2 FY22 post-result conference call. From VST Tillers Tractors Limited management, we have with us today Mr. V.T. Ravindra, Managing Director, Mr. Antony Sarkara, Chief Executive Officer, and Mr. Pankaj Kanta, Chief Financial Officer. I will now hand over the call to VST Tillers management for the opening remarks, to be followed by question and answer session. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, good evening, everyone, and this is Antony Sarkara, CEO of VST Tillers Tractors Limited, and with me is Mr. Ravindra, Managing Director of the company, and Mr. Pankaj Kenta, the CFO of the company. I'm very happy to share with you the Q2 results of the company and the H1 results. So in Q2 we had a revenue of 233.46 crores, which is a year-on-year growth of about 6%, and an operational EBITDA of 38.39 crores, which is a growth of 7.37% year-on-year, and the operational EBITDA is 16.44% of revenue. PBT is at 42.82 crores, which is a growth of 4.54% year-on-year, and as a percentage of revenue, it is 17.5%. And cumulative H1 this financial year, the total revenue has been 427.06 crores, which is a growth of 16.5% year-on-year, and the operational EBITDA at 63.78 crores, which is a growth of about 18% year-on-year. And as a percentage to revenue, the operational EBITDA is at 14.93%, and the PBT is at 74.02 crore, which is 16.47% of revenue, and which is a growth of 19.62% year-on-year. Now, coming to numbers, in Q2, in power tillers, we have done a volume of 8,626 numbers, vis-a-vis last year's volume of 7,924, which is a volume growth of about 12% year-on-year. And in the tractors, we have done 2,325 numbers, vis-a-vis last year of 2,751 numbers in Q2. And in comparison for H1, in H1 tractors, we have done 4,373 tractors, vis-a-vis last year of 4,517, and which is a drop of about 3%. And in power tillers, we have done a volume of 15,355 in H1, vis-a-vis last year of 13,110, which is a growth of about 17%. We can move on to questions now.
Sure, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on their touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may please press star and 1. The first question is from the line of Kaushal Shah from Dhanki Securities. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir, for the opportunity. So if you can also share, you have shared the volume for both tiller and tractors. If you can share the revenue numbers also.
Yeah, just give me a second. You want the product-wise revenue numbers, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So for power tillers, the revenue is at 125.38 crores for quarter 2, vis-a-vis last year of 111.85 crores. And for tractors, it is at 84 crores, vis-a-vis last year of 86 crores.
Right. Sir, if you can, in the tractor segment, if you can, maybe add some more color on how the market has been. Apparently, the South market, did witness some growth. So, have we gained any market share? And how, and what are the numbers that we have done in the higher HP segment?
Yeah. So I'll come to that. The market has been okay. I would say it has been kind of flat for, complete H1. If you look at it, it's been kind of flat, especially the month of September and October. I would say due to festival, the expected volumes did not come up, and the industry also has not grown much in these 2 months. For us, in the compact tractor segment, the industry has not grown. And that is one of the reasons that we have not been able to grow in this segment. As far as higher HP volumes are concerned, in Q2 we have done 230 odd numbers of higher HP tractors, and in H1 I will give you the figure of H1 as a whole. So this is roughly about 400 plus tractors we have done for H1.
Right. And so we were targeting about, if I remember that correctly, about 1,000 numbers in the higher HP segment for the entire full year this year. So that we are on track to be.
Oh, we will definitely cross that number.
Sure. And so 2 more questions. One was on the associated products like the weeders. We've added quite a big number of new products like rotavators, etc. Any maybe some more color on that as to how these new products have done in the last, let's say, last quarter, and also if you can maybe share the outsourcing, meaning where we were supplying to dealers who were earlier dealing with Chinese tillers. So what is the kind of numbers that we have done in that segment?
Yeah. So in this financial year, we have done about close to 900 numbers outsourcing to importers who are OEMs who were importing earlier from China. And as far as the power weeder segment is concerned, we are seeing good growth. And this year also we are seeing good momentum in the growth of that segment. And as we had said that we will be closing more than 4,000 numbers this financial year, we are quite on track to do that.
Sure, sir. That's it from my side. I'll come back in the queue.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any participants who wish to ask a question at this time, they may please press star and 1. The next question is from the line of Mayur from Asian Market Securities. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Hi, sir. I'm just trying to understand. So there has been this ban on Chinese imports. And from what I understand, this is a 50,000 odd industry, right? 50,000 unit annual industry, the tiller industry in India?
Yes.
And your presentation is like you would have about 54% market share. What I'm trying to understand is when this ban happened, I was actually expecting that you would have actually gained quite significantly out of the Chinese share. I believe they were at about 25-30% of the market share.
Earlier years, yes, they were at 25-30%, but I would say towards after 2015, the share would be at about 15-20%. So let's say about anywhere between 5,000 to 8,000 numbers annually was the kind of numbers. The organized players, organized importers, I would put it that way.
So would we have been like captured more than 50% of that share that actually was left out?
Yeah, on an annual basis, we will be doing that, yes.
So is it safe to assume that your market share by the end of the year should be well above 60% if the market size is just the same?
Definitely, the market share as on to date is more than 60%.
All right, great. And sir, one more thing. So I also believe you are sitting on a 60,000 capacity for tillers and about 36,000 for tractors, right?
Correct.
And at this point, of course, production is well below limit, so there is no need of immediate capex for any of these products.
You're right.
All right. So when your annual report also said that you have a vision of about 3,000 odd crore as a 5-year vision for 2025. But that actually seems like a very big number compared to our current numbers. So are we looking at any kind of inorganic growth also coming this way, or this is purely believed to be an organic growth leading to that kind of number?
See, we have clearly laid out a strategic direction where we investing in multiple product lines. Like I have said this before, the areas that we are looking at, number one is to move from just being a power tiller company to small farm mechanization company, where that is why we have got into power weeders and the brush cutters and the like of equipment. And that is growing significantly, and we believe that it will drive growth in the small farm mechanization space for us. Second aspect is gaining leadership in the compact tractor segment. So we have launched a couple of products this financial year. We will be continuing to launch more products in this space, wherein we will be able to gain volume in that segment. We believe that this segment will continue to grow, although currently that industry is not showing growth at this point in time. But as the row crop and horticulture growth happens in this country, which is happening, we are sure that the industry is bound to grow, and we will maintain our leadership there. Third aspect is the higher HP utilization that we have spoken about. We have put a capacity for higher HP tractors. So the first task is to ensure that the capacity utilization is achieved. That is where our joint venture with Vitor also is come in place, and we will be launching those products next financial year. Number 4 is what I spoke about, is the investment into implements business. We have started that business. It is initial days for us, and it is also growing rapidly, and you will hear more on that front from us in the coming times. And number 5, what we are looking at is a distribution business that we are starting. You will hear more from us in the coming quarters on the distribution business. Number 6 is what we are looking at, investing into newer technologies, where again today we have also announced we have increased our investment into Zimeno Inc., which is an electric driver optional US-based tractor company. We have increased our investment in this quarter. We have made the announcement to the markets today. So that is our multi-pronged strategy in terms of growth which we are pursuing. So definitely your point is, if you just stick on to power tillers and tractors alone, definitely our vision cannot be achieved. So that is why we have multiple areas that we are working on to achieve this growth. And secondly, to answer your second part of the question, are we open to inorganic growth? Yes, we are very much open to inorganic growth, and we are looking at sound opportunities that will come up, which will align with our strategy and growth plan.
All right, great. And if you allow me one more question. So I think this is sounding pretty interesting. Just that when you say you've increased your investment in the US-based company, will that mean that the returns on those investments will actually form part of other income and will fall below EBITDA for you? So while it may add to your earnings, it may not add to your top line growth?
No, see, our investment primary is not from the angle of financial returns that we are looking at. What we are looking at is strategic returns in terms of technology availability, our commitment to Monarch as a supplier. We are already supplying certain critical components to Monarch, this electric autonomous tractor. So we would like to continue the relationship and strengthen that relationship, and kind of bring that technology into India and at an appropriate time. So our target is not financial returns. Our basic idea of this investment is strategic, and of course, as a consequence, if financial returns come in, we welcome that.
All right. Thank you. I'll come back to you, sir. That was very helpful. Thank you.
Thank you. Any participants who has a question at this time, they may please press star and 1. The next question is from the line of Devanshu Sampat from Yes Securities. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hello, good afternoon, sir. So, two questions regarding the efforts. I just want to understand if the company is doing any efforts in these aspects. So one is the rental business. Is it directly, indirectly, are we looking at this? And secondly, when it comes to digital adoption that is happening within rural India especially, so how are we looking to leverage on that, or what are our plans to tap that area?
Okay. And to answer question number 1, we are not looking at rental business. Coming to question number 2, on digital, we are doing a lot of work, and the first task has been creating the digital infrastructure within the company. I think in the last 2 years, we have been focused on that. We moved to SAP HANA for our ERP infrastructure. We looked at automizing and making our complete operation paperless, which we have already completed. And now we are in the coming quarters, I think we will be able to share more with you. And I think it's not the right time to, kind of share. Definitely, one thing I can tell you is digital is one of our key drivers or enablers of growth in the future, and we will be at the forefront of it.
Okay. And so if I look at your balance sheet, there seems to have been an inventory pile-up. So can you throw some light on that?
Yeah, we have increased inventory about 30 to 40 crores in this quarter, which is the festival season. October was festival, and November also is a good period, and we might continue this inventory up till quarter 3 end and then taper down. See, we work on something called theory of constraints for the supply chain model, which we adapted almost 1.5 years back. So wherein we manage the inventory by a methodology called buffer penetration and replenishment. So what that means is if a season is coming, you increase the buffer and increase the inventory. And once the season is over, you reduce the buffer and kind of reduce the inventory. So you will see this dynamism and agility from the company going forward, and it is very consciously done.
Sure. Okay. I have 2 more questions, if I may. So would you like to revise your margin guidance going ahead? Because in this tough quarter also, it seems that we have, sort of been on the higher side of what our guidance was. So
no, I'll continue with the guidance. I'm close to the upper end of my guidance, I would put it that way.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But 14%. So, see, as I said, I am focused on investing for growth, and you will see that happening more from the company. So the guidance remains the same.
Sure. And the last question, can you provide some update on what's happening with the investment that we have done with this US company in terms of you said we're already supplying to them. So if you can throw some light on how much it is, and maybe if you can share a sense of what the contribution may be, say 2-3 years down the line.
Yeah, so these are initial days. We have made a Series A investment earlier, and now we have made a Series B investment into Monarch, or Rimino Inc. as the parent company is called. Now we are working with them in terms of, we have signed a master services agreement on product development, and we are working together with them on the product development, and various trials are going on. And we look forward to developing this work into a supplier partnership in the future.
No, sir, you mentioned just before this that you have already been supplying parts to them. So is there a sort of...
Yeah, it is product development and supply that we are doing. Okay. But regular supply and volume build-up will happen in the future.
So can you give a sense of what Monarch's plans are, or what the expected sort of business is? Have they already started selling, or is it going to scale up now?
Yeah, I can definitely share what they've already put out there in the public domain. See, this is a driver optional electric tractor, which has got autonomous capability. That is why it is called driver optional.
No, I understand what they do. I'm asking whether.
So what we do is, I'm getting there. So what we do is we supply them the drivetrain and the camera, the sensors and the software are plugged in by Zimino Inc. in the US. They have an assembly line there, and then they finally roll out the product and supply to the customers. So they have not begun commercial transactions yet with customers, which I hope they will start sometime in the next calendar year. So that is where we are at this point in time.
Sure, got it. Thank you, sir, and all the best. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Our next question is from the line of Sonal Gupta from L&T Mutual Fund. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Hi, good afternoon, sir, and thanks for taking my question. Just on the margin front, the raw material cost seems to have gone down by almost 330 basis points quarter-on-quarter. And so can you tell us, what exactly has changed? What's driving the decline? Because
raw material cost as a whole has gone up for all of us. However, in our case, what we have done, we have been able to manage, not entirely, but to a large extent through cost reduction and various cost management that we have been able to do in the company. Also, we did a price hike at about 3 to 4%. So to say raw material costs have gone down may not be entirely right.
So the price hike was affected in this quarter? Is that the way to look at it?
Yes. In Q2 we had a price hike. Yes.
Across both power tillers and tractors.
Yes, you're right.
Okay. And also, just on the overall market, could you share the parts revenue also for this quarter?
Yeah, just a second. I will just go back to the revenue slide. Yeah, parts we have done for the quarter 2, we have done 22 crores.
22 crores. And so just coming back to we've seen, like you also made a remark in your opening comments that the tractor market demand has been more subdued. And we did see that at least in volume terms, the tractor volumes have come down on a year-on-year basis. So could you just talk about both the tractor outlook as well as the power tiller industry volume growth overall at the industry level and how you're seeing things?
Yeah, so at the industry level, the last couple of months have been particularly subdued, as I mentioned before. And we as a company operate in the compact tractor segment, which is a 90,000 to 100,000 tractor industry out of the 1 million tractor industry that is there. And in the higher horsepower, we have entered only last year, and the growth is happening as per plan in the higher horsepower segment. So overall, we feel that this year the growth of the industry should be in single digits and should be around the mid single digits. 5 to 6% is the estimate that is out there for the industry. But it will also depend on how the climate is and how the monsoons are behaving. And right now we have a problem of excess rain in south, which could lead to some problems if it continues for a couple of weeks more. However, I think overall the reservoir levels are high. The minimum support prices are in place. Although the cash flow into the farmer's hand has not yet begun, I hope in November and December that would happen and would create some buoyancy for the industry and should be able to come out of the lull that we have seen in September and October.
Right. So in that context, like you already alluded to it, but we don't really have an issue in terms of higher channel inventory, even though the festive season has been more subdued.
We don't have channel inventory. As I said before, we work on theory of constrained supply chain model. We work on consumption, and we don't do push sales. So in that sense, our inventory is very much under control at the channel level, and you will see slightly higher inventory at the company level. That is what we have seen in the balance sheet this time. So that is a conscious decision, as I said before. And once the season is over, we reduce the buffer that is required, and the inventory comes down again. So that is how we manage our. So there is no inventory build up at the channel level.
Got it. And sir, could you share the Q2 number for B2B sales for power tillers? B2B.
Yeah, it's for Q2. Well, I've shared the numbers roughly around 900 numbers for H1.
Right.
For B2B. If I will later on, I will share what exactly has been the number. Just a second. I think I have the number here. No. This is for the OEMs they want. For the OEMs. I'll just get that to you in a minute.
Sure. No, my question was more from the point of view that even like we're seeing a similar trend on the power tiller side, like we're seeing on the tractor side, right? Again, the demand is subdued.
Yeah, demand is subdued, but the growth in power tiller is driven by VST. So the industry is like we have 60% market share. So what we are doing right now is introducing newer products. We have launched a 16 HP earlier. Now last quarter we have launched another new product at a 9 HP level. So that is getting good response. So we expect, like I have said this before, this year we should end up with around anywhere between 20 to 30% growth in the power tiller segment, and we should be around 10 to 15% growth in the tractor segment. So I am sticking to that same numbers that I've said before on these two segments.
Yeah, sir. Oh, no, so that is where I'm coming from, because if you look at the first half growth, and I mean, like clearly Q1 was a bit of a low base last year, but beyond that, like we've seen a substantial slowdown in Q2. So your 30% growth in power tillers looks quite aggressive in that context where we are in Q2.
Because the seasons are still on for power tiller. The Rabi crop November December season is pretty big for the power tiller industry. So we are quite optimistic on achieving this growth that I've shared with you. We are already at 17% growth. So achieving 20% plus and being closer to 30% is, I think, still achievable.
Got it, sir. Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Hitesh Bhargava from B&K Securities. Please go ahead.
Sir, I'm going back to the same question which Sonal sir has asked. So if you look in tractor segment for till October, we have degrew by around 5%. But for the full year, you are saying that we are targeting like 10 to 15% growth. But if you look at the commentary of the other players, or also if you look at the 2H of last year, which is very high base, and when the base is lower itself, we are not able to do a growth. But in the second half, how the confidence is like we are able to do a very high growth and reach 10% growth rate for full year? I mean, where exactly?
Our base for last year second half is pretty low. I think that answers the question.
Okay. Okay. And in tillers also last 2-3 months, if you look at even the October is one of the very strong seasonal months, but we were able to do only 1800 units. So is this a conscious?
Power tillers is not a very strong month. Okay. For power tillers, it is not driven really by festival. See, power tiller you will see Q3, end of Q3 and early, like December, January is largely the bigger season for power tillers.
Okay. And in this year, did you see anything on the subsidies sent from the state government? Any improvement from last year? I mean, is that also going to help you?
See, we have not seen any improvement in subsidy, but there is some talk in the northeastern states and in Karnataka, but we are not sure of that, and this guidance is not based on subsidy coming or not coming.
No, sir.
1% growth of H1 also is not based on subsidy. So.
Okay. And regarding our network expansion, how did our network expansion has been in 2Q, both within India and outside India?
Yeah. So we have done roughly about 60 dealer additions in the tractors space. So we are over 320 dealers in tractors right now. And we have done 157 dealers in the power tiller space. We are having 530 dealers now in power tillers. Like I have shared with you before, our target is to get to 1,000 number of dealer network in power tiller segment and at least 700 to 800 numbers in the tractor segment. So we still have a long way to go.
Is this in different geographies or in existing geographies? I mean, majorly in tractor segment I'm asking.
See, in tractor segment, we were never in the north, so we are trying to expand in the north with our higher horsepower segment coming in. So that is where we are having higher growth of dealerships. And also we are in the market where we have a strong brand, which is mainly the west and the south. We are having certain areas where we didn't have adequate coverage. We are adding dealers there as well.
Okay. One last question. This is from P&L friend. Our other expenses in this quarter has gone up sequentially. So is there any one-off or this is the run rate going forward?
No, I'm sure you would have looked at year-on-year basis. So if you look at last year, it has been a quarter where the travel didn't happen much at all in last year Q2 because of COVID and all that. So this year it was different. So the advertising, sales promotion expenses and the traveling expenses were quite normal. So in fact, I am happy that we were able to manage our costs and were able to pass on a certain price increase and able to manage our margins despite the fact that we had a commodity inflation ranging between 6 to 8%. And also the fuel costs.
Okay. And what is the commodity inflation you are seeing in this quarter, sir? I mean, you said last quarter you have taken 3 to 4% price hike, and now you said like 6 to 8% is the impact. So what was the impact in this?
Yeah, as of now we have seen kind of a mixed situation. That is, in certain steel the prices have tapered down, but in certain areas it is like HR steel, it is still a little high, and we don't see much movement on the other commodities. But the diesel tax reduction or the excise duty reduction is going to help all of us because that will definitely drive inflation down, and also operating expenses in terms of running the paint booth where diesel is used in a big way. So in that sense, I would say that the inflationary trend has kind of stabilized, but I would put a cautionary note that it is becoming highly unpredictable.
Got it, sir. That's it from me, sir.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Sushant Kanodia from ICICI Securities. Please go ahead.
Yes, sir. Good evening and thanks for the opportunity. Sir, again talking about the gross margin front. So most of the auto OEMs have reported depletion in gross margin despite taking aggressive price hikes. So I was just wondering, is there any one-off in the raw material expenses that we should note of?
No, there is none.
So all the raw material price increase has been passed on to the customers now as on date? Or
like I said, no, we had roughly 6 to 8% price increase depending on what you're dealing with. So what we roughly were able to manage is pass on about roughly 4% to the consumer. 2 to 3% we have been able to manage through better cost management.
Right. So then, given that, at the quarterly run rate of volumes that you are guiding, so then this should be a new normal range of EBITDA margin for us, right? So why are we really scaling down upon the margin guidance?
There will be several operational expenses in terms of driving avenues of new growth. And that is why I am still maintaining the margin at the guidance that I have given earlier.
Sure. That's all from my side, sir. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Rahul Jain from Credence Wealth. Please go ahead.
Thanks for the opportunity and congratulations on good set of numbers and specifically on the margins part where you've done very well. Sir, you have been talking about the FY25 target of about 3,000 crores. And I think in one of the previous calls, you had mentioned that it could include about 1,000 crores top line from tractors and 1,000 crores from tillers and other products.
Yeah.
So just to understand on the tractor segment, sir, first. So for last 10 years, when I see our numbers, our tractor volumes have been on an average, they have been in the range of around 8,000, 8,500. The highest number in last 10 years was 11,300 in FY18. Else, most of the years we have been averaging around 8,000. So going ahead, two parts to it. One, you have said the compact segment, which we have been there for a long time now. And secondly, you have spoken about going into the higher HP segment. So first of all, sir, what are the steps we are taking, or what gives us the confidence that from a top line of around 300 crores, 250 to 300 crores range of tractors, we can go up to 1,000 crores in next 3 years? How do actually, what is the kind of roadmap to achieve this? And considering in the higher HP, I do understand that the market size is much, much more larger. But at the same time, sir,
the answer is this.
So, but at the same time, sir, the competition is also quite intensive over there. So how do we
you're right. So let us understand, what do I need to do to get to 1,000 crores? Therein lies the answer. I don't have to become the market leader, or I don't even have to sell 50,000 tractors to get to 1,000 crores.
Mm-hmm.
You get my point, right? A single unit of tractor goes at about 6 lakhs to 7 lakhs in the higher HP space.
Okay, sure.
So if you sell close to about 8,000 to 9,000 tractors, you are talking about adding revenue roughly of about 500 to 600 crores.
Okay.
And we already do a revenue of close to 400 crores in our compact tractor business.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a rough, I'm giving you a rough picture of what we intend to do. Of course, we have to safeguard, as you rightly said, the competition is very intense. Getting to 8,000, 10,000 numbers is, not that easy, and nobody is going to give us space to, kind of occupy that. But what gives me the confidence is, today I am operating with about 320 dealers. Any higher HP player in our country has dealership network of about 800 to 900. Now, VST has never been able to enter into the northern market because we didn't have products that the northern market needed, which is the higher horsepower segment. Now, with products being there and the initial experience of ours in markets like UP, MP, Rajasthan, where our products have started selling and people are coming forward to take our dealership, we are pretty confident that we will be able to build our network to 800, 900 numbers. And this network increase and coverage increase is what will drive, the numbers that I spoke about, enabling us to get to 1,000 crores.
So do I understand that the change which is now happening in last 12 to 15 months is basically the product which you have developed and also the distribution network which you have developed and are further developing? These two things will help you to get into the HP segment.
Absolutely. And product is just not these two products that we are launching. We are going to launch a slew of products in the higher horsepower space. That is why we started with VST Zetor. So you will see the first variants of those products in the higher HP segment coming from VST Zetor stable in the next financial year. And you will continue to see launches happening, again in the next financial year itself, because I can't give out the details right now, but you will see us bringing a large range of products in the higher HP space. And Zetor is known for higher HP and higher horsepower. So we are confident that we will have products both at the premium segment level and at the value for money level from the VST stable. So both these put together, we are confident, and the distribution network, we are confident that we will be able to achieve our objective.
Sure. Sir, if you could similarly guide us on the 1,000 crores which you are targeting from the tillers and other products, because tillers today is around 400 crores of top line.
Yeah.
And for last 10 years, again, over there also, somehow the average number has been around 21. The average has been in the range of around 21,000, and the highest being again in FY18. So what are we doing over there, and how do you get to that number of 1,000 in that power tiller segment from 400?
So we are growing the power tiller industry. That is why I said, last year we grew 40%. This year we will be growing close to 30%. And we are pretty confident about that. Why? Because we have launched new products. We are increasing distribution. Today we are at more than 500 dealers in the power tiller segment, and all this growth you are seeing in H1 at 17% growth is coming from business which is not dependent on subsidy. So this gives us confidence that we will be able to grow the business despite subsidy. And to get to 1,000 crores, we are looking at doing roughly about 50 to 60,000 tillers, which will give us a turnover about 550 to 600 crores. And then we are looking at building this entire power weeder, brush cutter, chainsaw range that we are working on. We have launched the entire range now. So that will also yield about 250 to 300 crores in the next 3 years.
Sure. That is quite helpful, sir. And on the export front, you had mentioned about reaching somewhere around 10% of sales, the targeted 3,000 crore sales. Currently, correct me if I'm wrong, we are somewhere around 40 crores of export sales as for FY21. So similarly, what are we doing over there? Again, probably African and some of these regions being quite competitive. So what exactly are we doing on the export front strategically to reach that number of 300 crores?
Yeah, so on the export front, first again is we are consolidating in Europe, especially in Western Europe. I'm very happy to say that in H1, we have grown more than 200% in exports. That is the largest growth we have seen. And we are also expanding into Eastern Europe. We have entered Romania, Bulgaria, Croatia, and Slovenia. And there is still markets which we have not entered. Typically, the Scandinavian countries we have not entered. Secondly, the other Eastern European countries, which include the Ukraine, Serbia, all these, and which are all TREM 3A markets, which is similar to Indian emission norms. Those markets we have not entered. Turkey we have not entered, which is the third largest tractor market in the world. So in Europe, there is still a large opportunity that we are pursuing. Second continent that we have focused is on Africa, where we have entered the western part of Africa and the southern part of Africa this financial year. And we are seeing good momentum in terms of both the tractor business as well as the power tiller business in Africa. And also Africa is a larger, higher horsepower market. So with the launch of higher horsepower products from our stable, we will be able to grow those markets further. We are also in talks with our partner Zetor to expand into other markets, especially Latin America and the North American markets. So that is also under discussion.
Sure. And sir, one last question with regards to the management bandwidth. So we are talking about going from about 750 crores to 3,000 crores in a span of 3-4 years. So what kind of management bandwidth do we have today, and what kind of further additions do you need to do to get to this number?
Yes, we need leadership bandwidth. So if you have gone through our annual report, in our mission statement, we are talking about 5x leadership. Now this 5x leadership has been thought out that we need, at least 5 times the leadership that is in the company today. So we are working on that. And in the last 2 years, we have recruited people from, tractor industry itself and the automobile industry in general for various functions for HR or finance and, the leadership in the power tiller segment and in the other areas of tractor business as well. So yes, it is a ongoing work for us. I mean, there is still a long way to go, because considering our growth plans, we need more leadership, and we are working on that.
Sure, sir. Thank you so much for the detailed reply. detailed insights, and wish you all the best. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Pranil Nandu from Goldfish Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. A few questions from my side. One is that I joined the call a bit late. Have you mentioned how many power dealers do we sell on a subsidy basis? Have you mentioned that number, the percentage?
Subsidy percentage is very low now. It could be about, I mean, it's a rough number. I'm telling you, it's about, let's say 15%.
Sure. So that's, I mean, just wanted to ask that, for the past few quarters, we have been mentioning that there is a change in trend among these farmers. They no longer wait for subsidy, right? It might come after they've made this purchase. Has that trend now, it's a very firm trend now, and you see that eventually this 15% number will become zero in a few years' time, and then we will not have discussion around subsidy at all? Is that a fair way to look at it?
I don't know about zero because the government has to stop, isn't it? But I don't think they will stop. So, but the trend is like this. I can tell you this. This trend is very much here to stay. The only reason I am saying is the customer is getting direct benefit transfer today. He is getting the money into his account. So that is the biggest difference that has happened and which is helping the industry. Because earlier, what used to happen is that the customer was dependent on the dealer to get his subsidy money. Today he is not. So if subsidy comes, he knows it will go into his bank account. So he is not worried.
Sure, but that DBT also, you were saying that is a 15% approx ballpark kind of number, right?
Why I said 15% is because, see, the government has to do subsidy allocation. Only then subsidy comes, right? So this year allocation has hardly happened. So that is why the entire industry is working practically without subsidy now. So, but that doesn't mean that these customers won't apply for subsidy. They will apply. Yeah.
I understand that. They are no longer waiting because it's coming directly in their account. I take your point. So, exactly. But a larger question to that was that, we were trying to see whether we can get some sort of a financing deal with some of the banks as well, right, for power tillers. And one of the challenges was, there is no chassis number, so to say, for a tiller, right, in some sense. And we have, I think, if I'm not wrong, in the past conference call, you have mentioned that we have tied up with a small finance bank, Janaf Small Finance Bank, if I'm not wrong. Yeah. So anything on that? I mean, so my point is, in other segments, what we have seen is that as soon as financing becomes available, the size of the opportunity or the size of the market is huge, right? In some sense, it just expands a lot. And in a market like India, where the agriculture is dominated by small and marginal farmers, the size of tiller industry is abysmally small, right? In some sense. So, do you think that this financing can help solve this problem? And we being the leader, what are we doing to ensure that such kind of tie-ups happen?
Yeah, we have done already tie-up with Jana Small Finance Bank and Samunadi, so Jai Kisan. So we have tied up with a few of them, and more work is happening on this front to increase finance. Today the issue is, the coverage of the bank across the country, especially rural parts, is not significant compared to the nationalized banks like SBI or, the bigger banks. So that is a constraint today. But I think we are making good progress on this front. And you're right that this will be one of the major drivers of growth for the power tiller segment.
Sure. But right now, what percentage of our tiller sales happen on finance?
5%.
Okay. And is there any challenge why we are not able to tie up with somebody who has a national spread? It could be bank, it could be NBFC.
See, the problem that we are facing is one you yourself said. One is the registration of the scheme itself. Yeah. One. Number two is the effort of the field officer for doing 1.5 lakh finance vis-a-vis a tractor which is a 5 lakh finance is the same. So at the ground for the branch manager, to meet his target, he is focused on a larger ticket rather than focusing on a smaller item.
Right. So have we tried, talking to some of these MFI small finance bank where ticket size is much more similar, right, in some sense to...
That is precisely what we are doing.
Okay.
That is why I said Jana Small Finance. So you will hear a lot more about it. Earlier, this finance used to be at 2%. Now it has moved to 5%. Our target is to take it to at least 25% by next year.
That would be great. Okay, so looking forward to see more such tie-ups, sir. And also, again, now the question on tractors and our ambition of reaching 1,000 crores there. And I completely understand 1,000 crores in overall scheme of things is very, very small, and we don't have to achieve great market share there. But what we have realized is that the brand loyalty, right, in tractors is extremely strong, and it's very, very region specific, right? A district right next to each other will have two different brands which are extremely strong there, right? So apart from the features and value for money offerings, what are the other what are the other things that they are working on which will make the farmers choose our tractors versus a brand which is already established there?
Yeah, so like what I said is, the brand is having acceptance of roughly about 10% share in markets like Maharashtra, Gujarat, southern markets in the compact tractor space. So there is a certain equity. Now, definitely we will take advantage of this equity and drive sales in these markets for our higher horsepower as well. Now, but having said that, the larger chunk of the higher horsepower market is the northern market, where we don't have brand equity. So what we are focusing on in these markets is how to build our brand, how to build brand VST in these northern markets. So couple of things what we are doing is we are rolling out advertising, we are rolling out a lot of digital campaigns in these segments and these markets. And that is one definite thing that we are doing. And as I said, you don't have to even take 10% share to get to 1,000 crores.
Right.
And
I take that point.
Yeah.
Sorry, you were saying something, sir.
No. What I was saying is, so the focus is on the northern market, how to build the equity and how to build the VST brand presence in these markets. And that definitely is happening because we see, the dealerships are getting appointed, even though, the brand was not present in these markets earlier. One of the key differentiators which I kept on emphasizing in earlier calls also is the fact that we are not pushing inventory.
Okay. Sure. Right. And are we, if let's say, for example, a farmer wants to get VST tractors in high horsepower financed in another market, will he get at the same rate versus a leader in that particular market?
In the northern markets, we are not getting the same, I would say, quantum of loan. Okay, the rate is the same, interest rate is the same. Okay. Suppose a market leader gets 90% financing, a new brand in that market gets only 70% financing. So that difficulty we are facing, but we are working with the banks to overcome that by working other promotional schemes with the bank.
Sure. And because we don't have a track record and hence we don't have the vintage record as well, right? Or resale value, so to say, right? Is that also a challenge which we need to overcome through branding and other other things?
It is very specific to markets. We don't face that problem. See, we are getting 90% finance in markets like Maharashtra, Gujarat, and even in the southern market. We are facing this problem only in the northern market where we were totally absent. So that is where we are giving confidence to the same banker. See, an HDFC who finances in Maharashtra at 90%, why should he refuse us 90% in UP, for example? So that is working, and because see, it has to happen at the field officer level, at the branch manager level.
Right. Okay. Understood. Right. Okay. And this anything on this Zetor tie-up? There were some visits which are pending from their end to take this MOU further. Now that travel has started, can we see some progress on that front?
Definitely, you will hear a lot from us in the coming quarters.
Sure. And last question is on the land that we own in Bangalore. While in the past we have said that we have no immediate plans, but anything has changed on that, because that's a very prime land, and I'm sure that you also must be tracking the real estate cycle in Bangalore. Any plans on that? Anything that has changed from the point of view of board on that particular aspect?
No, not at the moment.
Okay, but any thought process that we have as to how do we intend to monetize that?
Definitely, we will do it. Like I've said before, we will have to monetize it at an opportune time, and that will happen, but not at. We have not decided anything at this point in time.
Sure, sir. That's it from my side. Thank you for answering me. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Hitesh Bhargava from B&K Securities. Please go ahead.
Hello. Yeah. Sir, I have one clarification. You have indicated that tiller purchases are happening despite the subsidy being released, so that the farmers are buying from us and later they are applying for the subsidy. That's what the trend going on for last 1 year or so, if I'm right. So my question here is, like, considering that from the last 1 year we are seeing lot of purchases like this, and there is a lot of farmers waiting for their subsidy to be released. I know they have made the purchase, so we are not waiting for anything, but the farmers are waiting for the subsidy getting released. So, yeah. As we go on, and considering the states are also facing challenges on the fiscal policies, so if this trend goes on, like there are number of farmers waiting for another 1 or 2 years more, do you see this farmers purchasing may come down? Do you see this going to impact our volumes? Not in the next 6 months?
No, purchase happens because of the need, right? Nobody will purchase anything because subsidy is available. The purchase is happening because the farmer wants to use the machine in his farm. Now, the whole concept of subsidy is, it kind of eases his purchase decision, right? Because he doesn't have to accrue that much capital, because a share of the capital is coming from the government. So what it eases is the purchase decision, or his burden, I would say, financial burden. But that doesn't mean he is buying the power tiller because subsidy is available. He is buying power tiller because he needs it in farming, and that has become predominantly high because labor is scarce or labor has become costly. So because of this reason, people are buying and people are using it in the farm, number one. Number two, once he uses it in the farm, and there is a large segment of power tiller users who rents out this power tiller. And typically what we have understood is 2 to 3 seasons, he recovers the cost of the power tiller wherever renting is prevalent. So once the earning potential is realized, and once he realizes that he has to pay much lesser interest cost compared to a tractor, which otherwise becomes a huge financial burden for him in terms of interest that has to be paid. Now the power tiller is increasing, and with 16 HP where the farmer can sit and drive and use the power tiller, like a tractor where the fatigue is not there for farmer to use when he is walking behind, we see the sale increasing. So, to kind of answer you, see, people are not buying because of subsidy. People are buying because of need. And if you can reduce fatigue, if you can reduce the burden, it becomes a catalyst for more purchases. That is what I am trying to tell you.
Okay, so my question is basically not, what I was trying to find is, like, considering that there is a lot of farmers pending, so, and government may not cater to everyone, so I'm trying to find, because in one point there might be a stage where the government may not be able to cater for everyone because of the pending order of higher number. So is there a purchase decision being changed from farmer end? Do you think that may happen?
I don't think so.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I think maybe one more question.
Yes, sir. We'll be taking one last question. That is from the line of Saket Kapoor from Kapoor and Company.
Yeah, namaskar, sir, and thank you for the opportunity. Sir, thank you for the detailed discussion during the call. Sir, firstly, on this capital work in progress part, the figure of 30.47 crores, what is it attributable to, sir, and when is this going to get capitalized?
Yeah, so we have some product development which is under progress, which will be capitalized as soon as it is done.
And the benefits of the same will accrue going forward in the coming year?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, can you give some more color? What will it lead to? More products, new launches? That is where
see, for example, we have certain range of engines that we are sourcing from outside. So that sourcing will stop. Those kind of things will happen, which will help the company financially.
Okay. Sir, you mentioned that H2 last year was lower in terms of business and profitability. So this the comparative number for this year H2 is likely to be better. This understanding of mine is correct, sir? You answered to our earlier question.
Yes, yes.
Sir, last year also we have this employee benefit expenses of 82 crores that I think included some VRS part of this. So this will not be here for this year. So that will be an addition to what you are saying. And this is that would be one of the reasons.
That was a one-time expense. You're right.
So that will not be here. So that will be contributing for this H2 in terms of that.
I didn't talk from that angle. I'm talking from a top line angle.
On the top line angle. Sir, when we look at this other income component also, sir, we are into this manufacturing business part, but still, sir, 1/3 of our income is coming from our investment related activities. So, looking at this top line figure of 3,000 in year 2025, how will our investment profile likely to look, sir, when we look at the returns, looking at what the yield curves are today? What should we look in terms of the other income components going forward also? And then lastly, on the component business part also, sir, I think so at Mysore, we were developing some new products to improve our bouquet of components. So where are we in terms of that?
Yeah, so to answer the first question, the capital investment, if the it all depends on how much capital we are carrying at that point in time, and I'm sure the company will take the decision to maximize returns on the capital at that point in time. I can't comment. I mean, we don't have a business plan on capital returns 5 years from now. That we don't have, because you very well know, you rightly pointed out, we are a manufacturing company, right? So we have not planned for that. But if we, at that point in time, the capital that we have will be utilized appropriately to maximize returns. Number one. So I think that answers question number one. And for question number two, which is Mysore, yes, I had mentioned to you, we have converted that into a precision implements division where we have started manufacturing rotavators, and these are initial days for that, but it is profitable and doing well, and we will be able to talk more about it in the coming quarters.
Okay. And last bit of suggestion from our part, the volume discussion that usually happens during the call, request to our CFO Khemka ji also that if that numbers can be well encrypted in our press release, that would that would get sorted out before the call commence. The volume numbers for the quarter, a comparative number, as the general questions are from us. If that could also be being put forward to us in the press release component, I think so.
Okay, got that. Because we only announced the financials this time, we will give the numbers. Yeah, okay.
Yes, sir. Even the horsepower HP part of the story also, which many of us are asking you, if those numbers, the details are mentioned, that will suffice us also at one go.
Okay, thank you.
And thank you for the detailed and all the best to the team. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you everyone, and thank you for your time.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Ms. Anamala Jairaj, would like to add any closing remark?
Nothing. So we thank VST management for taking time out for the call. We thank all the participants. Have a good day.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Batliwala and Karani Securities, that concludes this conference. Thank you all for joining us, and you may now disconnect your lines. Thank you.